be pro-Black if you don't have a Black partner?
Anybody want to chime in
Yeah, I'm
on
gonna
that?
say anybody can tag in.
Ron, what you think? You got a Black husband.
Why you picking on me already?
I don't know. You have a strong belief in the Black home.
Until I talked to my sons about this, at first I was like, nah, how could you be? But they let me know you can, and you can use that as a platform to possibly educate your partner and let them know, hey, this is our struggle. This is what we've been through. This is what we're going through. This is why we fight so hard for our rights, and this is why we angry, or whatever the case may be. And they can possibly educate their circle, So this is a new day, and things are not what they used to be. They've changed. They're evolving, and this generation, I mean, a lot of them know what they want, and they know what they want to stand for. So, I'm gonna say yes.
Oh, okay. See, you come home, your daughter brings a white man home. How does that work out? How does that play out?
So I believe it all depends on your upbringing, your experiences. For me, I believe that we can't really evolve or do too much anything without working together. And it's 2020, almost 2021. So you can be pro-Black, but you're gonna have to cross that line eventually to be able to adjust to your environment, if it's your living situation, banking, school. I mean, we like the young lady said, man, we live in a different time. So, you can support your own, and that's nothing wrong with that. But, being able to live a whole life without interacting, without doing some type of crossing that boundary, I think it's almost impossible to do. I went to a majority white college. So I opened up a lot of doors and bridged a lot of gaps in my lifetime to know that from experience, there's a lot of difference out there. So I believe it's all about your experiences and who you are and your upbringing, and pretty much preference what you want to do.
Okay. Pierre, does they know a white person? Do you lose the message dating a white person? Yeah.
I think that's a fine line. I mean, everything that's been said so far has been valid. At the same time, it just depends on the individuals and the mindset and the understanding, the education. All of that plays a factor into it, because being pro-Black doesn't mean that you're eliminating or excluding other ethnicities or races. And once you cross into that boundary, then you're no better than what they are. Then you become a racist. So at that point, you want to make sure that you understand your stance, and the person that you're with understand your stance, and not only understand the stance, but the importance of it, so they can walk with you and support it. It can be used as a catalyst to wake other people up. But then that also goes into the question, or the understanding of, what is your definition of being pro-Black? Because a lot of individuals have their own separate definition. It's like success. Everyone has their own definition of success. A lot of people have their own definition of what being pro-Black is. So there is no set template, or there's no one understanding, or no conglomerate of this is what it is and this is what we stick to. If you ask 10 people, out of that 10 people, you'll probably get about 6 or 7 different definition or responses. So it has to be something, or a conversation, or an educated conversation to where everyone's on the same page, and then we can move in accordance as a unit, and then not only as a unit, but as just one group. Because right now, even with, Black Lives Matter and, being pro-Black, we're still separated because we're all so different mentally in this space.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a real good way to kind of sum it up, because I agree 100%. There's no way you can in one person to have one single definition of it. I mean, like he said, you have someone that would prefer to just shop all Black. How hard is that? You gotta go to the grocery store. You gotta, as much as you can try to live that lifestyle, if that's your preference, you're gonna have to tap into some things that might not be all the way pro-Black. So I think the way he described it on a nail for me.
Okay. Could there be this thing where we as Black people tend to take our foot off the gas versus other groups of people, to where, like, you have Chinese people, it's real legit where you're going to date your own people, or you have people who are from Middle East where if you're an Afghan person, you're going to date somebody who speaks Afghan. Because if we start to date other people outside of our race, especially us, we tend to lose a little bit of us every time. Is there some truth behind that? Anybody can chime in.
It's true in a sense. And it goes to a conversation that I actually had, I want to say 3 days ago with a colleague. And it was about integration.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem that we've had from the beginning with integration is we integrated at a time to where we as a culture and as a race where we couldn't stand or didn't have the means or the resources to stand on our own. So we integrated, and then we still essentially was a slave to what someone else had in their resources because we didn't have the means of doing it. So it's kind of the same situation and things because
we had the resources before we integrated.
What resources?
We had our own Black power structure. We had our own businesses. We had our own barbershops, our own hospitals. We had those things, but we wanted more resources.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted some of those resources as well, but we had our own thing. That's probably one of the worst things that most, older Black people would disagree with as far as the segregation, because once we did that, they bought us out in a sense. They came in with better wholesale food markets that was better than the local mom and pop shops. So we've had our own thing before this, when we integrated with everybody.
Yeah, that's true. But in that case, it's a difference between having your own and then also having the means to sustain for a period of time on your own. That's where we lack it, because just like you said, once we start mingling, we start to lose little by little each time. But if we were strong in where we were, then we don't have to worry about being diminished, because what we stand for and what we believe is always being taught. It's always being influenced on who comes after us. That goes into like when, if you look at an example, let's say, for example, the person who started KKK, he didn't have an understanding or know exactly at that moment that, hey, it was going to be what it is today. He did it, and he made sure that everybody after him still instilled that they still had that discipline to keep moving forward. He wasn't worried about seeing it now. He knew it was going to eventually happen and carry on. And I think we lose that because a lot of us don't have that discipline to keep pushing forward through things. And when we start businesses, we run into a brick wall or adversity, and then we want to give up, or we allow somebody to swoop in and buy us out because we're not focusing so much on the discipline to avoid being diminished. When we bring somebody else on, we're not as strong as we think. So I think once we come together and be strong and then have that strength and can stand, then yeah, we don't have to worry about being diminished because we're able to continuously perpetuate that with everyone that comes after us, our kids, grandkids. Even if you say like dating someone else at the race, we have the power and the means to be able to teach them that, but we don't. We have a lot of influence. We just don't use it.
I think because I'm in not in a I'm in an interracial relationship with a woman, and so I understand how it's okay to date outside your race as long as your partner is willing to undertake the things that she's gonna deal with or he's gonna deal with throughout their lives. As a Black man, my girl gotta know Rhonda, how she raised her sons is like this. So you gotta raise your son like this. It's a little more alarmed with dating people like me or Jada, because we are where we're from and we are who we are. So yeah, I think everybody agrees that we all believe that being pro-Black does not mean, well, if you are pro-Black, it does not mean if you date somebody outside the race, you're not pro-Black. So you don't get your pro-Black card removed. So that's good. I can go home, then I can chill out in the hood then. That's why I moved way out here, because I thought y'all was gonna judge. Go ahead, Jada.
Okay, Jody and Miss Franklin. Why aren't women paid the same as men when doing the same type of jobs?
I'll answer first. So basically, even still now, women will always look down upon, and then still thought of like not having like the power that men should have. And then most of like jobs or companies are mainly patriarchies. And so it's like they don't see woman in power is something like odd to them. So same thing as far as like pay. So they think like men are the ones who should be like, who need the money more or should get paid more as far as like the women.
Well, this has been going on forever. Okay, since like way back when. You know, it was the woman stayed at home, she cleaned house, she took care of the children, you know, and the dad went out or the husband went out and he worked and he brought home the paycheck and he took care of everything. So then, you know, then they introduced these women rights. So we like, hey, we got rights too. But still in the back of their mind, they still say, yeah, you were still the woman that was at home and you took care of the kids. So honestly, you know, you kind of like a second-class citizen here. So you really don't need to make as much as your counterpart makes. Is it right? No. Do we have a long way to go? Yeah. But it's just mindset, you know, and that's even in our community. Mindset. When we change the mindset of people, things will start moving. Until you change this here, nothing's gonna change. Because people are going to be stuck on this is how it works. I'm not moving off this. This is how I feel about it, you know, and change is not going to come about. But I think that's the foundation of it. That's why they're still stuck on, well, you should be at home raising the kids anyway. You know,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, you know, we're still fighting for that, but we can do the job too, if not better. You know, not to toot our horns, but you know, we're here. We want our rights too. You know, and I understand my place, and I don't have a problem with stepping to the side and letting the men take it over, because you know I feel like God created men to be the head anyway. So I'm not trying to take your place as head, but you know, come on. I'm working, you working. Let's get along. Let's get that paper moving too. So I think that's the reason why we're in this space that we're in, because of things that have not changed and the mindset has not been changed.
Just to jump in. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it's really sad, but honestly, man, other than, you know, African Americans, women since the beginning of time probably have been treated, you know, in our history terrible. I mean, really wrong when it come down to You can't vote. You better not talk. Shut up. You know, don't be seen. I mean, from the history of our society, women was really looked at as less than, you know, than I don't even want to say some of the words. So yeah, it was a long time ago that you know, you got women start getting some rights to start, you know, kind of, you know, talking and stepping up and start the demand equal pay. It's a real big thing right now today with like all the female sports, all the movement with the equal pay, and it's not where it's supposed to be, but it's getting there.
Hey, so that's good you said that about sports. So do you believe that Skylar Diggins should get paid like Chris Paul?
No.
So do you believe Ella Della Don?
No.
So you're saying so they
the
should
reason
be
why,
paid
see, no, because like I said, it has to be the job. If Rhonda is just as good of a surgeon doctor as I am, she deserves to get paid more than me. She deserves to get that type of pay. Okay. But if I play for a sports team and we're gonna have 100,000 fans come to the game to watch us, where that revenue and that money is there for the pay, that is the issue with most of the sports. Now, you said basketball, the pay and the standards are not the same. So the women can argue for more pay, but no, they're not bringing in as much money, television wise, endorsement wise. They're not bringing in that type of money to receive that type of money. Now, soccer, gymnastics, tennis, them sports where it's pretty much equal. Yes, them women have great arguments. Venus, Serena Williams is getting just as many fans and ratings and TV views and as Djokovic. Right.
So you think they're getting paid almost the same clip?
They not though. The men's bracket get more. In tennis, the men's that winner get way more money than the women's winner in like Wimbledon or the Australian Open. So that's one of the issues that they have, where they have a legit argument. But for like basketball and some of the other sports, it's kind of like you got to understand the owners and the money part of it. Soccer, our women's soccer team wins the gold every year. They're more popular and more dominant than the men's. So they have an argument why they should receive. So I believe it's different situations in different sports for that particular argument.
But I feel like as far as like basketball, I feel like with it being such male dominated, and then I feel like it would not, if they let like female basketball players like expose them more, and then I think that as far as revenue being brought in, I feel like it would be different.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're just being real honest here. They do a really good job promoting the WNBA. College women, the women's college, you know, it gets their really fair attention. I don't think it's their fault for not promoting it. I believe that it goes back to the first question about women, period. We've been living in such a male dominant world for so long that it's taken a long time to get there. You know, I mean, you got to understand, even this year, y'all was way better this year than y'all was last year. Last year, you know, they made a big gap. So it's getting better and better, but, you know, I don't think it has nothing to do with the exposure. I think the women's game is getting a lot of attention. It's just taking a longer period of time for men, society to jump on board, pack the stadiums, give it the respect and the attention it need to bring in them endorsements and those sponsors and that cash revenue. Because again, if I'm an owner of a team and I'm only making $1 million off my team, I don't have the money to pay all you guys millions of dollars if I'm not making millions of dollars. And that's kind of how it goes with the pay wise in that sport.
Okay, just to push back on there a little bit, I think as far as the women's sport, we tend to sexualize women. That's the issue. So when we go to a game, it's like, oh, it's not cool because, oh, they too rough. So then it downplays the actual skill set they actually do have. So like I coach girls and I coach boys. It will always be the same topic brought up. The girls play kind of wild. They play a little too rough. There's no flow to it. So that's going to be an issue forever and ever and ever. If we jump like away from, let's say, another field of work, as far as like he said, doctors. I don't know why that happens, why women don't get paid as much. Pina, do you have like any like inkling of why women, especially in those fields where it's more so attached to the brain and skill and book work, more so than athleticism? Pina? You hear me, Pete?
I hear you.
Yeah. So what do you think about like that when it's very different as far as the work field, where women are making twice as less, and then a black woman is making double as less than her next counterpart as a white woman? How do we understand it? How do we get through that?
That's first and foremost, that's gonna take a lot of work. That's gonna take work because it's been this way for so long. You know, it's hard to it's not impossible, but it's hard. The even more difficult part is finding the individuals who's going to have that discipline to continue to fight that fight. You know, and it's going to be more strength in the numbers to do that. Also, with that, I think because we are fighting in a system that we didn't create, nor was it created for us, it makes it even more difficult. So I'm always the advocate for owning. And I think what we need to do, not only, you know, the black women and you know, just us in general, the culture, is just to start owning, you know. That way we can put ourselves and our women in positions to get what they supposed to get and earn.
Okay. Hey, Jake, let me ask Brighton a question, right? And so the reason why we brought Brighton on to be our social media director is he real vocal on social media. That he has as a young black man, he has a real good I think ideal of himself and like what would be good for his people. So if you had to like, let's say, give us 3 main social justice or social issues we should like really hone in on, like what would you think? As how old are you again, Brian?
16.
16. You the future. So you give us old heads what we should be looking at, because our vision get a little cloudy. So what are you thinking the main 3 issues we should be tackling?
One would be race, as like to what is going on right now. Number 2 would be mental health. Mental health is a big problem in the Black community. I think a lot of us, not like a lot of us fear like therapy, because when we hear therapy, we hear like crazy. Oh, he must be crazy. There's something wrong with him. Like he ain't right, basically. He or she isn't right. But like when I want to be a lawyer, so I go and watch a lot of cases, whether especially like big like cases like mass shootings, school shootings, stuff like that. So as I go through them, a lot of the defense attorneys, when they go to present that case, they bring up mental health issues. And and mental health issues. Not saying it's like, oh, if you have a mental health issue, you can get away with this and that. But I see like the white community gets away with a lot of things because of mental health issues. But and then when I would go, and if I would watch like a similar video, review a similar case, you will see like some of the same tendencies that African American had, like showed that white Americans show, but it isn't documented. It isn't put in like to like the. It isn't like put into evidence, if that's the correct term, when it comes to sentencing. So I think mental health is a big thing we need to focus on in the Black community. And the third one would be health in general.
You muted.
My bad.
Hey, Ray.
My bad. So I know we all grew up with this whole thing, especially Ron. I ain't gonna put your age out there. Ron. I ain't gonna put your age out there. I ain't gonna put your age out there, Steve. YouTube people put you out there. I know y'all grew up in a time where you would hear this a lot. Somebody say, "Man, I ain't feeling too good," and they'd be like, "Man, you'll be all right. You'll get over it. You'll get over it." Why do we, as a Black community, always do that to one another, especially about something where I could be hurt and I'll come to you and you say, "You know what, man? It's gonna be all right. You'll be fine." And one time I say I need to talk to somebody, man, what's wrong with you?
Well, like the young man, he really hit on his third thing plays a big part into his mental health issue. Just our healthcare for African Americans from the beginning of time has always played such a big role in why that issue or that mental health topic just now starting within the last couple of years. People starting to realize that is one of the main issues for a lot that's going on in our community. But to answer your question real quick and not to be talking so much, and as our culture, because of that, our health and financial problems, we were always scared to go to the doctor. African Americans were always scared to go to the doctors. I don't know if it was because of not being able to afford a doctor bill. I'm pretty sure that played a big part. But just getting Black people to go to the doctor and take care of themselves and check and find out if something wrong with them, it was like trying to pull a nail out of some wood. It was just something that was always big. To this day, it's still big. Trying to get our parents to, hey, take care of them, say go to the doctor and do something. It's like, I don't know, but that's a real good question to ask. And if somebody can come up with a good answer, please tell me, because I got two stubborn parents that we got to make.
But I think with that whole health thing and being afraid to go to the doctor, that's like more of a historical thing. With them doing tests on us at the Tuskegee experiment, and them testing Black women first as far as abortions, and like just figuring out that whole thing about we're gonna try y'all first, or them looking at us and seeing why your genetics made this. But I think that's like it just all kind of just fall down to the next person because you traumatized. Or like my closest friend, he told me his father died when he went into the hospital, not before he said when he went in and he came out. They gave him the shit. So I think it's more of like a historical feeling with the going to the doctor. Because, I don't go to the doctor at all. So I get you. I don't step foot in there. I don't want to go over there. Because when you go there, you seem like, something going bad happen. Like, what's the church on Central? No, not the church, but the hospital on Central.
Yeah. Loretta.
They say that's the death spot.
Loretta Hospital.
That's
Mount Sinai too, right? Yeah. No, don't get them. You got to go. You better get some good insurance because I'm not going there neither.
Okay. Hey, so Jada, 3 main things.
No, I was answering your other question.
Okay.
I feel like when you were like saying like, oh, you need somebody to talk to, and your parent, or like in that generation, your parents like, oh, you'll be okay. I feel like that's also because of like a historical thing, like to make their child like strong, because they were able to get over whatever they encountered, like all the hardships, all that. They made a way out basically. So I feel like they are trying to teach their child that, oh, you'll be okay, like figure something out. Like I feel like that's what makes like kids like our generation or whatever like not seek help when they need it, because they're so used to hearing like, oh, you'll be okay. But I also feel like that's because older generations, they're like, oh, if I can get through it, my mom can get through it, and we didn't have the resources we have now, y'all be okay, kind of thing.
That's like with immigrants.
Yeah.
You know, when one family come over, like my girlfriend's parents they're immigrants, and her mom would say, you know, I did it, you'll be fine. So that, you know, that pull your bootstraps up kind of mentality, you know, is set in stone. So what would be your three main things you'll focus on? Wave your magic wand.
I would say police brutality for sure. That would be one. My second one would be education for sure, especially our generation. I feel like that's a big thing. And lastly, I don't know. I don't know.
So those would be like the main two. Ron, as a mother, and you see in the next future, like what are your three main things that you're like hoping that they dial in on, like social issues?
Okay, I only heard part of the question.
I'm sorry. Okay, what are your three main key social issues you feel like should be focused on? Whether it be, you know, pro-life, police brutality, the prison pipeline. Like, what do you think we should focus on?
Well, oh gosh, there's so many, and you're saying three. Okay. I want to say police brutality, but I don't care about that. I care about my community. I care about things changing in our community, because if things change in our community, I think the police brutality won't happen as much as it does. You know,
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can you elaborate and think like that part?
Like I was watching MSNBC, and there was a lady on there, and she's in New York, and she's an advocate, and she was talking about how all these programs they're trying to get money for, and you know, them to give money into the community so they can go in. So when the community has a need, they're there to meet the need for the community. She was saying how some violence or something was jumping off. There was an altercation or whatever, and they stepped in and they kind of squashed the altercation, so the police wasn't needed. So there was something else that happened, and the police called them and said, "Hey, what should we do?" Because the people was going berserk, and they told them, "Pull the police out of there. We'll go in and we'll handle it." And we need more of that, taking care of our own. We need to take care of our own. Mm-hmm. You know, when the Black Panthers was on the scene, they labeled them as thugs, but they weren't. They took care of the community. You know what I mean? They would roll with you. They needed to roll with you, but their main focus was taking care of the community.
Okay.
And I feel like we don't care about the community because we don't own nothing in the community. We, you know, don't nothing belong to us. You know, they come in, they buy up everything. Now we got to go spend our hard-earned money with them. The prices is high as ever. You know, that's what I want to see. Us taking care of our community and taking ownership in our community. That's the first and foremost. And a lot of this other stuff we wouldn't have to deal with because we're taking care of our own. Secondly, healthcare. You know, that's a huge thing. The difference in the insurance and who gets this care, who doesn't get this care, where you can go to the hospital, what doctors you can see. That's a huge problem in our community. Mm-hmm. And then thirdly is education.
Okay.
Our education, you know, it's something has got to be done.
Okay. Pierre, you was bobbing your head like you was at a church sermon when she was talking about, get the neighborhood back. How do you propose we do things like that? Because I know you since I was a little kid, and you've always talked about on and on and on, and you took risks at an early age. For me, I was like, oh snap, he going way over there, he's going way over there. So how do we get to a place where we feel comfortable to get back in our neighborhoods and own our neighborhoods and things like that?
Well, she hit everything on the head, man. And it's crazy because this is really my path and my journey right now of what I'm doing, and it boils down to so much. But to sum it all up, it's just first and foremost, it is our community. It's I remember growing up and even before, really understanding what it meant. And people still say it to this day, but it means really nothing today. But people used to live by it takes a village. But see, now everybody's just worried about their own porch. Where's the village now? But people turn their heads when something's going wrong. People complain but don't want to say nothing. It's like we have to take care of ourselves because it's clear that they're not taking care of us.
Right.
We have to take care of ourselves, meaning we have to be present. We have to be out there having conversations. We have to actually be the ones that's going to lead and guide the ones that comes after us. That's really like the purpose of my nonprofit that I'm doing. The second thing is education.
What's the name of the nonprofit?
The name of the nonprofit is Black Men Project.
All right.
And the premise and the purpose is just to get all the Black men of the communities together and just be exactly that. Be present in the community. Mentor the kids. Make sure that we take care of the block. Make sure we take care of the elderly. If somebody right on our fence need to be painted, be out there with the paint painting it. If the block dirty, be out there cleaning it. And we have our presence out there being positive imagery for the youth that's growing up, because right now as it stands, the youth have no role models to look up to. The people that they're looking up to is doing the same thing that they're doing. They're just 20 years older. So they have nothing to feed off of. They have no direction and no guidance to say, as a man, this is what you're supposed to do. As a man, this is your responsibility. As a man, this is how you look. As a man, this is how you carry yourself. As a man, this is what you should care about. They don't have that. So that's the purpose of the Black Man Project, and that's what we move forward. Okay. The next big thing is the education. We've been miseducated for years. And now it's time to change the trajectory of our education. We need to start teaching. And for me, I always go back to owning. We need to have our own schools, our own banks, our own grocery stores, our own everything. So that way we control what's distributed to us. Because they control what's distributed to their people. But not only that, they control what's distributed to us. So we have to start taking the reins and making sure that we can actually distribute to our children and our people what's important to us, so we can know what the truth is.
Okay.
And then police brutality. But with the first two things, I believe that's going to cut down on so much more, because just like the young lady said, a lot of the issues stem from us moving a certain type of way. We have to move different. I give an example, just to keep it brief. I give an example before I even moved back. When I was back in Cali, I was at a gas station. I just got off work. The line is long. There's a black dude, 2 people behind me, and it's like 6 people ahead of me. That's not black. People paying for their stuff, walking out. I pay for my stuff. I'm walking out. He turns around and walks next to me like, well, I'm out too. Everybody else walking out. I'm like, nah, but they paying for their stuff, bro. You got a handful of stuff and you just gonna walk out. Don't use me as a scapegoat like you know me. But then when the police pull up and then they approach him now with a situation. But this is the problem that you cause. So a lot of it is a fine line between community and education and our mentality. Our mentality is in the middle of that. So we just, once again, we just got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask a question that I didn't send to you guys. We asked this question last week, and it was really that kind of got the ball rolling on the whole show. So I'm gonna just ask the question: was Obama good for black people? Was he good for the black and brown people? Go ahead, Steve.
So, all right, for me personally, I mean, no, because I had this, I'm a big politics person, so I had this debate with a lot of people. Obama, to me, he was great for black people, but the problem with this, with our society, we understand that the president is really just a poster boy. You have Congress, you have bodies, so just to make it real quick, people got to stop looking at the president thinking that he's the one that's going to change something. Your aldermen, your mayors, your governors, them are the people that really change things and that can do stuff for you. But so that's just facts. Personally, we had our very first black president. This man had to be president. He had to walk such a fine line on eggshells being the first black president so he could set an example for more to possibly come after him. Now, if this man would have got in office, and I'm just going to, use some language here, and was the head nigga in charge, we had, imagine any other black officials running for anything. I mean, we understand that we have more minorities, people of color as a whole in this country, but there's still more white people that vote in this country. So if Obama would have gotten in office and would have acted a complete ass and just said, "Oh, I'm going to do everything for black people, F white people," and just really in that fashion, and I know it ain't that severe, but that's kind of how some people believe that, he would have really set a standard that would have been really hard for black politicians moving forward. I mean, the president really don't have as much power as people think he has. So instead of blaming Obama for wishing he would have did a lot of things, you gotta understand he had a Congress and a Senate that stood in his way and blocked almost everything he wanted to do. I mean, they blocked. I mean, they tried their best, man, to do everything. Now you see Trump is just rolling back everything that he did, try to do. So I mean, do I wish he would have stood there and did more? Yeah. But I understand, what I'm saying? I understand the path and some of the things he had to do and how he had to be to set an example for the next young black man or woman trying to, get to the highest office in the land.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion.
Rhonda, was he good for your black boy?
I'm gonna agree with the brother. He could only do so much. He tried to do things and they would shut it down. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just the land that we live in right now. It was only so much he could do. Was he good for me? Yeah, he was good because I was proud to say he was my president. I mean, was there more that I would have liked to see done? Absolutely. But as long as we got the good old boys club up there, ain't a whole lot we're going to be able to do until some things start changing with them old farts up there. The ones that can't barely walk, that's been in office, their daddy was in the office, their granddaddy was in the office. As long as they're there, until we can get some new blood in there that's for the people, all the people, ain't much going to change.
Okay, so
Hey, Ray,
Go ahead.
Real quick. The one thing he did do that I wish he would get a lot more credit for was the example he set. That's the one thing I wish that he would get more credit for the example he set. And this clown we have in office now, if people can't look and see how what a black, intelligent, well-dressed, well-spoken, well-mannered, moral values, one baby mama, great father, as many times they called his wife a monkey, as many times they called him, what's the name? Have we ever seen that man fold under pressure to act any type of negative way to give anybody something negative. You know, that is honestly why I like why I have so much for that man. Cause I can even imagine how many times he had to cry on Michelle's shoulder when they was in a room and nobody was there. I can only imagine how frustrating it was, you know, at times having to hold your tongue and because of the type of pressure he had on being the first. So I just wanted to say that real quick. My bad.
So no, you good. No, you good. You totally fine. You totally fine. So I think I love Obama. Let me disclaimer that right now. I love Obama. We got the same birthday, August 4th. You know, send me, you know, Obama some cash app. You know, send us some money. So I love OB. My only thing is this. I don't play devil's advocate because I don't want to be the yes wrong. Now, with him being the president, there is some power he do hold. Now, he don't like get to just say, oh, no, I'm doing what I want to do. But he is one of the presidents who've had the most executive orders in president's history. So he had time where he could just say, nah, I'm going to do this because, shit, I can. Nothing you can do about it. Now, with that being said, would we have appreciated him saying, you know what? Okay, see, you've been in a game before. You know, coach from the sub, you see him. But you ain't shot the ball yet. When you get that thing, you're going to shoot just because. Would you been okay with him just saying, you know what? I'm going to come here and do what I want to do. I'm going to set the tone. You know, I'm going to set the tone. I'm coming in. I'm letting the next black lead or the next person of color come in after me. I'm letting them know this is the agenda when you come in for your people first. He went one
Yeah,
day.
yeah, but see, but that goes back to what we just said, though. You got to understand. So now that you done did that, now you done just shut the door on anybody, on that next black man, that person coming in after you. Because once they see you show your ass now, and oh, they not gonna, we can't never let this happen again. If the way politics work, you're 100% right with them executive orders. But if he would have did that, the next time they vote, they put a Republican in there, they would have opened the door for him now to sign even more executive orders to go right back and make things even worse. So by him not doing that, he set a certain standard for a president. It's not presidential. Like Trump just completely changed the game up. It's not presidential for presidents to pardon everybody, to do this, to do this. Yeah, it's okay to a couple of executive orders, 1 or 2 pardons. You know, it's okay. But, you know, that's the reason. If he would have did that, trust me, it would have just really made things really hard for any Democrat or any African American ever again. And that's what I mean when I say the type of pressure he had on him. I'm pretty sure he wanted to. You know, he had the executive order the Obamacare because they were bucking. You know, but the other type of things that they wanted him to kind of push through. You know what I'm saying? You got to work with the House and the Senate. You got to work with Congress. Yeah. You know, and try to do things the way all the other presidents before you kind of did. You know, Trump is the first president in our history that just completely threw the playbook out the window and said, you know, F everybody in the world. I'm gonna go with my racist. I'm gonna go with my racist group, and I'm gonna see if my racist group can get me elected again. He don't care about blacks. He don't care about
that playbook. See, he didn't get that playbook.
Oh my God, Clown! If you don't stop.
What you mean he didn't get?
What you thinking?
You say he didn't get that playbook. Why you say that?
He didn't get that playbook.
Why you say that?
No, Trump came in with the reality TV playbook. He said, I ain't doing that. I ain't reading that. I ain't reading that book.
Oh, okay.
You want me to read? I ain't reading
he ain't reading that. You right.
You read it. Shit.
You right.
Yeah, what you think? Was it good? Was it good for us, Peter?
I mean, you know, I'm always in the middle of the whole political situation. But what I will say is that he was good for exactly what, you know, my brother was saying. You know, he's definitely set the tone of what a black man should be, whether you are in that seat or not. That was a perfect example of how to be not only a black man, but how to be a well-dressed, well-spoken, smart. I mean, he was a clear depiction of the opposite of what they paint the picture of us being. And that's what they didn't like. I'm quite sure they assumed that he would get in there and act a fool and say, I'm going to do it my way. And I'm going to just go ahead and do this because I'm the first one. But no, he went in there. He was smart. He knew what battles to fight. He understood that it was chess and not checkers. And they did not like that. I always say when that conversation comes up is look at his pictures when he first got in office and then look at his pictures when he left. Because that hair told the full story of everything that they put that man through. And I totally agree. Nobody understands how many tears that man shed when the cameras was off and he was just alone with Michelle, because it hurt to have that power. I mean, you got to think you have all of this power, but essentially you don't. And you have a whole nation, but not only your nation, but your people is watching. So it's a huge fight to fight, and you got to understand that it wasn't easy. He did what he had to do the best way he could.
Okay, last question. How can we as like Black people break mental health barriers in communities of colors?
It goes back to what we talked about earlier, changing our mindset. If we change our mindset about the way we think about like mental health in general, I think we'll be able to get a lot done. And with that issue, mental health. And I think everyone could use therapy, and like because therapy, everyone can use it because it's good for everyone. If that makes sense, like you don't have to be going through something to need therapy. If that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. You need a soundboard.
Go ahead, Ms. Franklin.
I have adapted a saying: "It is okay not to be okay."
Straight up.
And for so long in our community, I've heard everybody on this line say, we were taught to man up, suck it up, and don't be nobody punk. You know what I'm saying? But now I'm like, it's okay for me to be a punk and cry. It's okay not to be okay. And that's the first step of healing, of knowing I'm not okay. And I need to deal with me not being okay. So now I'm okay. You know what I'm saying? So I tell my kids all the time, hey, bro, you can't talk to me. You can't talk to your dad. We need to find somebody for you to talk to, because I don't want to ever go through losing one of my children because they weren't okay and they couldn't say they weren't okay. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's the first step right there.
I think go ahead, Joe. My bad.
I also feel like what she said, like with her sons letting her know, I also feel like there's like a lack of like trust and like security when it comes to letting somebody know that like, oh, I'm not okay. So I feel like once you build that foundation of like, oh, I can trust you and I feel safe letting you know how I feel, and I feel safe enough to know that you can help me and not like judge me or like try to fix me based on how you think I should be. So I feel like once that gets fixed first, then like as far as like the mental health, it'll get like better.
Yeah, and another thing, I feel like a lot of like kids now don't speak up too much because of judgment, not even from like peers or friends, but because of parents too. And I feel like Jody was saying, like if that trust and like foundation that you got me, you're gonna understand, or at least try to understand what I'm going through, even if you can't fully understand, and tell me like you understand and try to help me, then I feel like that's why kids like back away too.
Yeah, I agree with
I think also it's a lack of genuine love, because you do have instances where and I've been in that situation to where you can express yourself, but the person that you're expressing yourself to just is no care. So then once you run into that, it's like, why do it? So then you embody everything, and then that's when it get worse.
And real quick, the two of the most important things is communication and education. So people have to educate themselves to be able to see and be able to tell when a loved one or when someone is having these type of issues, and then they have to be educated enough, they have to be educated enough to be able to see it, and they have to be able to communicate to know how to reach out and either get help for the individual or help that individual. Everyone can't deal with someone that's having a mental issue. So if you feel like you're not educated or prepared or whatever to do that, then you got to try to seek help so that somebody can reach out and do that type of communication. But it's all education at the same time with good communication.
For sure. Brian, you had something, Brian?
I think our adults really gotta stop talking so much, if that makes sense. Like, I know a few of my friends, how they're going through things like being depressed and suffering from like anxiety. But when they go to their parents to tell them these things, the parents get on the phone with auntie. Yeah, well, she going through this, that. They calling grandma, uncle. So when it's a family event and your uncle, aunties come up, like they bring it up and it's uncomfortable because like I trusted my parents with that and they went and ran their mouth. That's a big problem we have too with like security.
Yeah, that's that communication. Yep.
I think mine's a little different. Like working in a school, I think the biggest thing is to listen. Listen. And like Pierre talked about showing genuine love. I think listening and being able to communicate how you love is so important to somebody. So like even with these young kids, every day they hear me say, I love you. I love you. I love you. Talk to you later. Hey, those things go so far. Just being comfortable with the actual love language, not just like all physical with another sex partner, but being, love language to one another. As far as black men, we don't even say that to one another. Black men get so uncomfortable. Like, what you mean you love me? Like, no, I genuinely love you. Like, I got you. You know what I mean? Like, I talked to one of our kids. His father passed away past 2 weeks ago. And I got on the phone with him. I said, bro, you should go in the room right now and just cry. He looked at me like, what you talking about? No, for real. Go in the room and just cry. I've been where you was at. You know what I mean? But some people, his homies and somebody else will be like, man, you ain't got to cry. It's going to be all right. He looking at you. It's good. Nah, he looking at you. But cry your ass off. That love language is so important, and not being so hard all the time. It's okay to love your kids. It's okay to love their friends. It's okay to love your coworker and to spew that out. But we got to get to a place where we listen to one another as much as possible. Like Brian said, not talking so much as older people, as parents, because we can't like cloud their judgment and cloud their whole view and just kind of just like steal the whole thing from them. And we don't want to do that. We want to be able to sympathize and hear them out and clarify, okay, cool, you got this issue? I got you. And the way we word it, too, is going to be a big deal. I had a coworker a long time ago. He said we call kids special too much. The way we word it is another thing as well. So we got to word it in a way where it's appealing to the kids' ear. It's okay that I got a problem going on right now. It's not ashamed. I shouldn't be ashamed because I'm having like an emotional breakdown right now. It's totally fine because we all have it. Yeah. So I think the love language is so important that we, say, I love you, I got you, I care for you. Call me when you get home, CC, when you get from the gym. Like those small things go so far as far as like trying to break down some of those mental barriers and emotional barriers that we have in our community.